Now, the educators who are watching this video is going to end up with your money. Now, it's Dino Delplesh here, and I want to welcome you to the Escape the Classroom Business Builder series. And my goal in this series is to help two types of people. For those of you who are educators, you would gain a proven system on how to transition your skill as an educator into a profitable coaching business so that you can start living a life of freedom, impact, and purpose. And for those of you who are coaches, you would gain a proven system so that you can confidently start attracting and landing high-paying client. Now, my overall goal with this entire series is to convince seasoned educators that transitioning their existing skills into a profitable coaching business is the key to achieving a life of freedom, impact, and the income that you desire. Now, before I forget, I have a special gift for you. I want you to go to escapetheclassroom.kit.com/gift and grab your free Escape the Classroom Business Accelerator Kit so that you can start building. Remember, escapetheclassroom.kit.com/gift. Go and grab the thing, man. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, why should you be listening to me? And here is why. My goal for this presentation is to help two types of people. Now, the first group is for those of you who are educators and you would get a proven system to confidently transition into your coaching career. Now, for the second group, for those of you who are experienced coaches, or you're now emerging into coaching and you want a clear strategy onto how to find and attract high-paying clients. So take note of everything that I'm about to share, because my goal in this session is to convince you that transitioning your existing teaching and training skills into a profitable coaching business is the key to achieving freedom, impact, and the income that you desire. And I would provide you with a proven framework to make that transition simpler and easy. Just like SpongeBob here on the screen. Now, the big question in your head you might be wondering is, why should you listen to this guy? Okay. Now, for all my career, I was a traditional educator. It was a stable job, but I felt this nagging feeling that I wasn't living up to my full potential. And that is me there with some of my students. And in 2010, my first job out of college was teaching. I taught fundamental computer skills to kids, teachers, young professionals, and I loved the feeling of helping others learn and grow. I knew I wanted to start my own business. I didn't even know what coaching was at that time. However, I knew I wanted to help people grow. I want to inspire them to change their lives. And if I was honest with myself, I want to live a life of abundance, a life of freedom. I want to make that big mullah. I had this burning desire to start my own business, but I had no idea how to turn that idea into a real business. In 2020, I had the privilege of graduating with my master's, but the big issue was I graduated a full year after my classmate. And because of this, I felt like I was left behind. I had no job. I had no direction. And even worse, at that moment, I was living on a small island in the Caribbean where coaching was practically unheard of. The thing is, I wanted to be a coach like Rich Litvin, like Adrian Cahill. I wanted to speak on stages like Tony Robbins, but I felt this was a pipe dream. I had no money, I had no network, and it seemed impossible. Now, during COVID, I started my first online coaching business, and the honest truth is I felt like an imposter. More than anything, I felt ashamed. I had spent 7 years studying, but I felt like I had nothing to show for it. Like, the doubt was so crushing. I didn't even think I had what it took to be a coach. I was afraid that I wasn't enough. And the big burning thought I had in my head was, who was I to charge people for my help? So I started coaching for free. And I sure some of you can relate with this. And then eventually I started charging a measly $97 for 3 months of my work. And the truth is, that was because I hired my first coach at $97 per month. But this was exhausting. It was unfulfilling, and it was definitely not sustainable. On days, I couldn't even afford transportation to the capital to come back home. One day I was feeling demotivated by it all, and I pulled up one of Tony Robbins' TEDx talk, and I'll try to do my best Tony Robbins impression, and because he said something I never forget, and I want you to know this. And he said, "The quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. When you're able to ask quality questions, you will be able to create a better life." But the question is, how do I ask quality questions? And then he said something about learning neuro-linguistic programming and how it changes life. So what I did, I went and I downloaded everything about NLP. And that's where my obsession began. I went into books, courses, and I just started learning and start applying the work that I was learning with the clients that I have. And then something amazing happened. I started seeing immediate transformation in my clients, and it was like magic. I didn't know how it was working, but I was just doing it. And then they start achieving their goals, they start overcoming their obstacles, and they start gaining confidence. And at that moment, I realized it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me. It was about the impact I was making. Now, I was certain that coaching was my calling, but the thing is, knowing that I wanted to coach was one thing, and building a business was a whole new story. Now, your boy had his master's degree in entrepreneurship and enterprise management. I had a sales coach. And while I was seeing some results, the approach felt very inauthentic to me. It felt salesy and it just didn't feel like me. Yeah, like I was a little Jack Queen. And I thought to myself, there must be a better way. There must be a better way. It shouldn't feel so difficult. And then I discovered Sean Quintero and his One Client Away challenge. And he shared this heart-centered sales approach that completely changed my perspective. And it was wild that he was even offering this for free. You know, selling felt more natural and authentic. And it was so unbelievable. He was giving it all for free. I didn't realize it at the time, but my communication, empathy, and teaching skills was actually a huge asset in the sales process. And it was like a light bulb moment went off. With this structured approach, I finally was able to confidently raise my price, communicate my value of what I'm providing, and my coaching fees went from $97 for 3 months of coaching to $997 for 3 months of coaching, which is a 10x increase. Isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy? Unfortunately, at that time, I couldn't invest it into Sean Q program, and it was super cheap compared to what it was now, because at that time I was moving back to China and I spent all of my money on a plane ticket. The plane ticket from where I live to China is crazy. Okay? But the thing is, I kept practicing what he shared with me for free, and it continued to work. And I knew in my heart that I needed to invest it in his full program. Because if this is what he's showing for free, just imagine what his paid offer was. So 7 months into my job, I quit and I started coaching full time. Now that's a whole different story. You can go ahead, check out my TED Talk for this full story on that because I shared it there. And 1 year after that, I finally circled back to Sean Q and I made the investment. 25,000 RMB large. And this was a huge leap of faith on my part, but it was the best decision I've ever made. And I'll make it over and over again. Because not only did I get to personally work with Sean Q, but I also had the incredible opportunity to work as one of his international sales coach. And I've even hosted my very own One Client Away challenge with a little Dino twist. Now, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Now, today, I'm proud to say that not only am I speaking on stage like Tony Robbins and coaching my clients powerfully like Rich Litvin, I'm creating the same level of transformation in my clients' life and business. And now today, my mission is to help other educators just like yourself escape the burnout of the classroom and build a striving coaching career and experience the same level of freedom and impact that you deserve. If you have made it this far, that means you need to go ahead and grab your free copy of the Escape the Classroom Business Accelerator Kit at escapetheclassroom.kit.com. Go and grab the thing, man. Now, next week, I'll be sharing with you how your teaching skills is your biggest asset and why you don't need another degree or additional certification to start building your coaching business. Now, new episodes drop every Sunday, 7 p.m. China time, so make sure, stick it in your calendar and don't miss one, because this is the time for us to start building that legacy for the next generation. Now, let's do the thing, man, and big up yourself.